Kunja Bihari Kunja Bihari Gopi Janavalabha Girivaradhari Girivaradhari Gopi Janavalabha Girivaradhari Yasodanandana Raja Janaranjana Raja Janaranjana Yasodanandana Raja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Go Premanande Shri Prabhupada ki jai Shri Shri Gaur Nitai ki Shri Shri Nitai Sachi Sutta ki jai Shri Shri Radha Parisishwara ki jai Shri Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra ki jai Shri Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai Go Premanande. Oh, glorious to the assembled devotees. Oh, glorious to the assembled devotees. Oh, glorious to the assembled devotees. Oh, glorious to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Oh, glorious to Srila Prabhupada. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Pranta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswate Devi Gauravani Pacharine Nirvasesha Sanyavadi Pastachade Shatari. There's a blob on the middle of the left one, I think. I'm not sure. I have to be quick because I can't read anything without them. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayat. We are reading from the 8th canto, Srimad Bhagavatam, and it's chapter number 7, is that right?
Yes. Verse number 12.
Verse number 12, okay, fantastic. Verse number 12, please kindly repeat. Upari
Upari
Agendram
Agendram
Girirat
Girirat
Eva Anyaha
Anyaha
Akramya
Akramya
Hastena Sahasrabahu Tastau Divi Brahma Bhava Indra Mukyai Abhishtuvadbihi Sumanaha Abhivishtaha Apayagendram Girirada Devanya
Apiragendram Giriradivanya
Akramya Hastena Sahasrabahu
Akramya Hastena Sahasrabahu
Tasto Divi Brahma Bhavendra Mukyair
Stodivi Brahma Bhavendra Mukhe
Abhishtuvadbhi sumano bhivishtaha
Abhishtuvadhi sumano virishta.
Upariyagendram girirādivanya
Uparyagendram girirādivanya.
Akramya hastena sahasrabahu
Sahasrabahu.
Tasto divi brahma bhavendra mukhaye
Stadivi Brahma Bhavendra Mukha.
Abhishtuvadbhi sumano bhivishtaha
Abhishtuvadhi sumano virishta.
Upariyagendram girirādivanya
Girirādivanya.
Akramya hastena sahasrabahu
Akramyastena sahasrabahu.
Tasto divi brahma bhavendra mukhaye
Stadivi Brahma Bhavendra Mukha.
Abhishtuvadbhi sumano bhivishtaha
Abhishtuvadhi sumano virishta. Uparyagendram girirādivanya.
Upariyagendram girirādivanya
Akramyastena sahasrabahu.
Akramya hastena sahasrabahu
Tatosdivi Brahma Bhavendra Mukha.
Tasto divi brahma bhavendra mukhaye
Abhishtuvadhi sumano virishta.
Abhishtavadbhi sumano bhivishtaha
Paryagendram girirādivanya.
Upariyagendram girirādivanya
Akramya hastena sahasrabahu.
Akramya hastena sahasrabahu
Tastaudivi Brahma Bhavendra Mukhaye.
Tasto divi brahma bhavendra mukhaye
Stuvadbhi sumano virishtaha.
Abhishtuvadbhi sumano bhivishtaha Upari,
Upari,
on top of,
on top of,
Agendram,
Gendra,
the big mountain,
the big mountain,
Girirat,
Girirāj,
the king of mountains,
king of mountains,
Eva,
Ira,
like, Anyaha,
Anyaha,
another,
another,
Akramya,
Akramya,
catching,
catching,
Hastena,
Hastana,
by one hand,
by one,
Sahasrabahu,
Sahasrabahu,
exhibiting thousands of hands,
exhibiting thousands,
Tastau,
Tastau,
situated,
situated,
Devi,
Devi,
in the sky,
in the sky,
Brahma,
Brahma,
Lord Brahma,
Lord Brahma,
Bhava,
Bhava,
Lord Shiva,
Lord Shiva,
Indra, king of heaven, Mukhyayi,
Yea,
headed by
headed by
Abhishtuvadbihi,
Abhishtuvadbihi,
offered prayers to the Lord,
offered praise to the Lord,
Sumanaha,
Maha,
by flowers,
like flowers,
Abhivishtaha,
Vishta,
being showered.
Show,
Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Manifesting himself with thousands of hands, the Lord then appeared on the summit of Mandara mountain, like another great mountain, and held Mandara mountain with one hand. In the upper planetary systems, Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva, along with Indra, the king of heaven, and other demigods, offered prayers to the Lord and showered flowers upon him. Purport. To balance Mandara mountain while it was being pulled from both sides, the Lord appeared on its summit like another great mountain. Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva and King Indra then expanded themselves and showered flowers on the Lord. That's interesting. Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva and King Indra then expanded themselves. What do you make of that?
where it means that they were participating to
Yes, the churning.
the chanting, and they have an expansion. Of
Yeah,
themselves,
expanded
showing-
form. Even Indra
Yeah.
expanded himself. And they did different things, not the same thing. Yogi may be able to expand themselves up to 9 times, whatever it is. But here we see they're doing different things. One form is churning, pulling the ropes, and the other form is showering flowers. We can understand that, no problem with Lord Shiva, even Lord Brahma. But Indra, what comment? If you read the commentary of Vishwanath Chakravarti or any of the other charts, maybe they make a comment or maybe they don't. Sometimes Indra is also Lord Vishnu. He's empowered by Lord Vishnu. Every living entity is empowered, of course, by God. Even the demons. Everyone's empowered by God. Even the teeniest little creature. Isn't it? Whatever power we've got, whatever ability we have, ultimately is coming from Krishna. He gives that bird the ability to fly in the sky, the fish to swim under the water without air, basically. Somehow or another it breathes with its gills. They're called gills. Fishes have gills. We can't do that. They have that ability. Soul's the same. They're given that particular body with its particular capabilities, etc. Nothing is impossible. So Indra is endowed here with this ability. He's got this, whatever it may be, power, empowerment of the Lord, whether it's the Lord himself or a jiva playing the role. He's been given this power individually. We don't have that power. But the Lord imbues that power on the living entity to do things. We take credit, generally speaking. We like to take credit. We don't generally give credit to God. We like to take credit. We blame God when things don't go well quite often. Why is God doing this to me? And when we do something well, we generally like to take credit. But here we see with the devotees, Indra is generally known as a Sakama Bhakta, Nishkama, Sakama. Sometimes Brahma, due to the role he has to play, you could say sometimes also behaves a little like a Sakama Bhakta, but generally he's understood to be a little more advanced. Lord Shiva is different altogether. He's the greatest of all Vaishnavas, but sometimes for the service of the Lord he may also behave in opposite ways or seemingly selfish ways, but ultimately no, it's just part of the Lord's pastimes, orchestrated by the Lord. Even Brahma, generally speaking, is simply the orchestration of the Lord to perform a particular purpose, a particular pastime. So this wonderful pastime of the churning of the ocean, which is, I don't know what to say. You don't hear too much about it, really. At least not amongst Gaudiya Vaishnavas, do you? Not a lot. I don't think so. Compared to like Lord Nrsimhadev or Bari Maharaj or Gruha Maharaj or something like that. It takes up quite a section. I mean, I don't know how much of this particular. The churning of the milk ocean. Okay, there we go. And the milk, I read the other day it was the salt ocean, but it definitely says here the milk ocean. It's, let's see, well in one sense you go right back to the pastime after another famous pastime, Gajendra and the crocodile. And pretty much after that we see the rest of this volume at least is related to the churning of the milk ocean. Jai Shri Prabhupada, Jai Radha Paraseshwara, Shri Shri Nitai Sachi Sutta, Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Ki Jai. Quite, if ever you go to Bangkok airport, I don't know if you've ever been to Bangkok. A very big airport, the new airport there was not so new now. It's probably 30 years old, but anyway, it was new, like everything. And it's quite fascinating. They have a very, very big, you know, in many airports they have like the central, what do you call it, lobby, you know, with different, maybe wings or terminals going out in different directions. So they have that there. Central lobby is extremely big. And I would say for about 200 meters they have, they would call it a statue, we would call it, I don't know what we call it. diorama, yeah. You see? Amazing diorama of the churning of the Milk Ocean. It's a Buddhist country. Wherever you see depictions of Krishna pastimes, Ram pastimes, etc. So they have this. It's very gorgeous. At least I haven't seen it for 25 years, but my memory of it is very very impressive, extremely impressive. You know, the demons on one side, the demigod Vasuki, the multi-armed form of the Lord on top of Mandara Mountain, the Kurma. I think it's all there. If my memory serves me right, I think the whole show is there. It's very impressive. And, you know, what can you say? It's indicative of a culture lost amongst the people. Although they still have this respect and acceptance, even to put that's quite astonishing, really, in a Buddhist country, particularly strictly Buddhist country. There's hardly any Vaishnavism manifested there in terms of practice, so to speak.
Which capital is Bangkok?
Thailand. When Prabhupada was in Thailand, he said this would be a very difficult place to preach. And it is, because people are real nice, they're pious in their own way, but they're so ingrained in them, and they're somewhat proud of their culture, which is not surprising. It's quite a nice culture. But they're so ingrained, you know, in rather, I would say, not even very deep Buddhism, but in extreme Buddhist concepts. Very strong. And the family units are extremely strong. So to break out of the system is very hard for people. Maybe when they leave Thailand, like in many cases. Anyway, let's get back to the point. I just reminded of that diorama, which is there, huge. I mean, it's probably 200 meters long, probably. Quite long for a diorama. And, you know, it attracts an awful lot of attention from passengers from all over the world. This Bangkok airport's a really busy airport, one of the biggest. So anyway, attracting attention, as much as people may dismiss all these things as mythology, they're very fascinating. And in many cases we see that, let's say in our world of entertainment, our world of whatever, fiction maybe they call it, but many of these pastimes are depicted, directly or indirectly, taken the themes, the mystical things that we hear take place in Vedic ancient times, Srimad Bhagavatam, Puranas, and Mahabharata and so on. Ramayana are full of mystical topics, right? From our perspective, we would probably just dismiss them as children's stories, mythology, imagination, but we very much tend to be attracted to that type of a scene, isn't it? You know, something mystical, something inexplicable, beyond our, you know, something beyond their day-to-day experiences. It's very fascinating, isn't it, for people? A lot of the movies, I don't mean the kind of day-to-day movies, but the kind of like, I don't know, Star Wars or Spider-Man or whatever it may be, Lord of the Rings and things, have a kind of otherworldly aspect to them. They're pretty down to earth, but some of them are really horrendous. And there's like creatures that don't exist in our normal concept. And some of them are very similar to some of the, you know, the demons who expand, or let's say, in various horrendous forms. Big ogres, and many heads, many arms, whatever it may be, which we see in the, you know, Puranic literatures, full of things which are inconceivable to us. For instance, we hear, I don't know if they depict these things, maybe not, but sometimes they just go straight to the Mahabharata. There are also very popular worldwide Mahabharata and Ramayana, and Krishna pastimes as well, are often depicted as they are. Mainly, not exclusively, mainly by Indian producers, but not exclusively. Yeah. So it's very, very attractive. People are attracted. They may not accept it, but they still talk about it. They still, try to understand from their, say, imperfect perception how this is possible. This is impossible. Let's take an example like Chitraketu. Have you heard of Chitraketu? What was say something about Chitraketu.
He was flying in an airplane with almost unlimited amount of co-wives.
Yeah, it said they had 10 million wives. Now, does that sound realistic? Yeah. Well, I was just reading a few days ago actually, and I was thinking of that. I was saying, you have to understand that many of these, let's say, examples or pastimes which are depicted in the Puranas are not on this planet. They're not necessarily on this planet. We have a tendency to think in terms only of our own, let's say, limited, maybe very limited experience. How is this possible? Churning the milk ocean. What is this milk ocean? I've never seen a milk ocean.
This is the Milky Way.
Pardon?
The Milky Way.
Okay, they might equate it to that maybe, I don't know. I've never seen, what is this nonsense? A mountain, 88 miles high or something like this, 140 kilometers high, you're crazy. Demons and demigods, what are you talking about? Churning on a serpent who's like 100 miles long, and they tied him around the mountain and churning the mountain. This is all, come on, it's a joke. They can't relate, and as a child cannot relate to the things an adult does. You give a child a mobile phone, it doesn't. The first thing it does is it puts it in his mouth, isn't it? Little child. Happened the other day, this little kid grabbed the mobile and just put it straight in his mouth. Started to, on the mobile. Of course, it couldn't get anywhere, but natural response. It cannot relate to the functioning of a mobile phone, at least at a certain stage. And many things like that, we can't relate to it. Before the so-called discovery of America, it was already there were people already there, but Christopher Columbus took the credit, I suppose, from the Western point of view, of discovering the Americas. And people were in doubt, how is it possible? Yeah, we don't believe it. That which we can't see, we naturally tend to doubt. You say that's not totally unsurprising. Intelligence works like that. We don't have much experience. Our experience is only of the part of this planet which is very, very limited. And all the time, the most fascinating thing in people's minds is something mystical, practically. Some creature, or something found in, by the anthropologists. It looked like there was some creature 10 times bigger than a whale or something. This really fascinates people, doesn't it? War fascinates people, like it or not, but it does, doesn't it?
Fear.
It's a kind of fear, but when you're not on the line, it's fascinating. People, one of the most popular things, at least amongst many people, is reading about Hitler, believe it or not. Although he's demonized, he holds a very, fascination in many people's minds. You also fascinated? I know many devotees are fascinated. There's something about him. Power. Some of the qualities of God may be misused. But those qualities are very attractive. People would like to, something strong. Here we have strength, tremendous strength. And there's a fascination for it. Although, sometimes we hear sour grapes. You've heard this philosophy, sour grapes? You know this one, sour grapes. The jackal, is that a jackal? trying to get the grapes. Can't reach them. So he concludes they're sour. Anyway, they're sour. Don't want them. And she does, but he's just failed in his efforts. So the scientists sometimes are a little bit like that, you know. The sour grapes were, and the historians, indologists, you name it. Why they even bother? I mean, you can look at it in many different ways. What difference does it make to us? Well, it does make a difference to us, because one of the biggest problems we face, I suppose, even as aspiring Bhaktas or whatever, is doubt. It's our own self-ego, false ego, of thinking that I can grasp or I can know. One of the qualities of God is He's inconceivable. What does that mean? That sounds a bit mild, doesn't it? Yes, you can't conceive. Well, we can't conceive, but it's described there. You accept or not accept. We may not be able to conceive of the nature of God, but we hear of the nature of God. It's not something which is conceived like understood by our senses, Atakshri Krishna Namadina Bhavam Grand. Cannot be understood by our material senses. Everybody knows that verse. Famous verse. But when the senses become purified, the Lord may reveal whatever is relevant. It becomes, yes, we all have heard this story of Narada Muni and the cobbler, isn't it? The cobbler. You know, when the Narada Muni went to see the proud Brahmin and the cobbler, isn't it? Lord sent him, Lord Narayan sent him. Go and check him out. Go and check him out. I have go and check these devotees out. One's a Brahmin, and one's a simple cobbler, working with leather. Bang, bang, making shoes or whatever. And just see for yourself what type of devotees they are. So he went to see the Brahmin. The Brahmin was, oh, Narada, pranam, nice to see you. Haribo, where are you going? I went to Vaikuntha. Oh my goodness. And you asked them, by the way, I said, ask them, when you tell them you're going to Vaikuntha, and tell them what I'm doing after a while. No, just say that. So then the Brahmin said, oh goodness me, you're going to Vaikuntha, haha. Maybe you can do a favor with me. Just ask the Lord, just confirm, actually not really ask, just confirm, I'm pretty sure of it, but just confirm, this is my last birth in this world, right? I mean, I'll be going back to Vaikuntha after this lifetime, I'm pretty sure of that. Look at me, I'm chanting all these mantras, I know all the pujas, I know all the Mula mantras as well, I know all the various prayers to Saraswati, Durga Devi, every one of them, and I can do so many things, and I get lots of donations too for doing it. I'm a real Brahmin, I'm definitely a real Brahmin, there's hardly a verse I don't know. And I follow all the rules and regulations of Brahminical life. I'm really first class Brahmin. So please just confirm it with that, Lord Narayan and Lord Narayan and whatever. And that this is my last life. Well, of course, Narada Muni was going along with it. Okay, sure. Sounds like you're really well situated here. I'm sure you're correct in your analysis. And then he went off to the cobbler, and the cobbler bang, 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 singing away, Govinda Jai Jai Gopala Jai Jai. So Narada Muni comes to the cobbler, and the cobbler bows down, stunned that such a great saint has come to his humble abode. And, Narada, how fortunate I am that you've come here. Please tell me, where are you going? And he said, I'm going to Vaikuntha. Oh, Vaikuntha, my Lord Narayan. Oh, Lord Narayan. Oh, how unfortunate I am. I am so sinful. I'm so fallen. I don't know if ever I'll be able to go back to serve my Lord. I'm so fallen, sinful. I think I'll have to stay forever in this material world and suffer for all my sins. I'm such a wretched person. So, okay, I'll definitely ask him. So Narada went back to Vaikuntha. And there he met with Lord Narayan, and Lord Narayan said, so what happened? And he told him what happened. And then the Lord said, okay, you can go back again and tell them, answer their questions. You can tell the Brahmin he'll have to spend many, 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 many lifetimes in the material world. What? How is that? and tell the cobbler he's coming back to Godhead at the end of this lifetime. What? How is this? He's a sinful person with leather. He doesn't know much. And this Brahmin is so learned and he knows all the Vedic mantras and very highly respected. Well, just tell them one thing. When you say that to them, they'll go, oh, come on. Whatever, but he didn't say that. Just tell them what I'm doing when they question you about what you say. Just tell them what I'm doing. Tell them that I'm threading an elephant through the eye of a needle. Have you ever tried that? You make garlands? You ever made a garland with elephants? Elephants, yeah. No? You have to have a big needle. You have to have a big needle, because we don't thread elephants. But he said, he's threading an elephant through the eye of a needle. And that's kind of, is that easy to believe? Probably not. It's like a joke. I don't know if people use it in the Western world, you know. Come on, you're trying to thread an elephant through the eye of a needle or something. You're trying to do the impossible. So anyway, Narada went back and he was still, what's this? It's weird. This is weird. So he went to the Brahmin first, and the Brahmin said, oh, Narada, pranams. Welcome back home. So, did you see Lord Narayan? Did you see him? Yes, my dear Brahmin. So, did you ask him my question? I did indeed. So, please confirm my obvious destination. Well, I'm sorry, dear Brahmin, with all respects. The Lord said you're going to have to spend an awful long time in the material world before you go back to Vaikuntha. What nonsense are you talking? You fool! I don't believe you ever went there in the first place. Get out of here! Get out! Anyway, if you did go there, let me test you. What was he doing? What was that Narayan doing? He was threading an elephant through the eye of a needle. Preposterous! Nonsense! Go away! I don't believe a word you say. Chased him away practically. Couldn't believe it. With all of his knowledge, he couldn't believe it. That God is inconceivable. He has to be measurable. Even the soul's not measurable. What to speak of God? Then he went to the cobbler. Oh, Narada. Fell down at his feet. Oh, Narada. How fortunate I am. You've just come from Vaikuntha. You're purifying my heart. Oh, I'm so wretched. Did you see Lord Narayan? Yes, my dear cobbler. Oh, my Lord. Please tell me something about him. Please tell me something about him. Well, he was threading an elephant through the eye of a needle. No, first of all he said, did you ask him my question? Yes, my dear cobbler. What did he say? He said, you'll be going back to Godhead in this lifetime. Oh, no, my Lord, nothing is possible. I can't believe it. Don't put that aside. I'm not qualified. I deserve to suffer forever. Put that aside. Tell me something about the Lord. Not bother. Tell me something about the Lord. Well, he was threading an elephant through the eye of a needle. Oh, so wonderful. My Lord is so wonderful. This is so wonderful to hear. Thank you. Tell me more. Wait a minute. Do you believe that? Believe it? Of course I believe it. Of course I believe it. Come on, how can you believe that? What's the difficulty? He picked up a little teeny weeny seed. He said, why not? The Lord has put in this little seed the potency to create a huge ashwata, a huge banyan tree. What is the difficulty? The Lord can do anything he likes. He's completely free to do it. He was completely surrendered to the nature of God. It's not a matter of learning or experimenting, speculating, challenging, which generally conditioned souls do. Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj said, that which you can measure is called Maya. Anything a conditioned soul can measure is Maya. It's illusion. We cannot measure reality. It's beyond time, space and circumstance. Transcendental. To understand the transcendental nature of Godhead and his pastimes when he enters into this world, which we know Jama Karma Tamedivya, is the simple secret. But how to understand that? That is not something which can be understood with material senses. All this remains a mystery. It's not that we're the only ones who've read this. Thousands of scholars, maybe millions even, philosophers, religionists, inquirers, speculators, have read the Bhagavatam in one form or another. They've read the Mahabharata in one form or another. It may not be with the right conclusion, but the pastimes are there. The events are displayed or described there, maybe with the wrong, I would say, the wrong conclusion or the wrong understanding, but nonetheless they're there, and they can't get much out of them. Mostly these pastimes convince the Indologist or the scientist that this is just nonsense. Whatever it may be. It's funny because they say that, I don't know what their measure of time is. It's weird that they come up with this thing, the oldest university, I just saw, the oldest university in the world has ever known was somewhere in what's now Pakistan. And it's supposed to be about 8,000 years old according to their measurement, but human beings weren't supposed to be developed 8,000 years ago. They were stupid cave dwellers practically. It's quite contradictory in one sense. Well, to speak of the language, the Sanskrit language, I mean, let's face it, there's no language which has quite the refined, even from the visual point of view, symmetry and everything about it is so developed, it's so evolved. It's far more evolved than any language on the planet today. And that's supposed to be the language of cave dwellers and forest dwellers, who didn't know what they were doing, right? They had no idea. They were just stupid people. All they knew was that there was a sun in the sky and there was, water in the ocean. Everything's, a cat, a bird, dog, tree, everything's God, They have no idea what they're doing. No culture. And where all these stories came from, even if they are false, who on earth could create the Mahabharata, which is the largest poem or such thing ever in the world? Even now, you look it up, you'll see this is the greatest. And these people are supposed to be the lowest of mankind, practically. So if they're lowest of mankind, what on earth is mankind now? Lower than the lowest. It's like this pride is such a powerful thing, which really is like, even here, the demons and demigods are somewhat proud. They're thinking in terms of, let's say, enhancing their own power, their own position, their own security, etc. They're proud of their existence and, in a conditioned sense. And people are very proud. Wars are fought over it. We're proud of our religion. It's okay if it's a real religion, but it's not. It's a perverted one. It's a cheating religion. Dharma, Kodava, Projitatra. It's a cheating religion. It's based on a material concept, perspective. It's not from a higher perspective. It's originally from a higher perspective, but it's become, possessed by lowly creatures, our religion, and we control it basically. And if you're not within it, you're out of it. You're a demon. You're condemned or whatever. People are very proud of everything. They're proud of their bodies. They're proud of their philosophy. They're proud of their country. They're proud of their nation. They're proud of their religion. They're proud of their race. They're proud of everything. They're proud of their behavior. You have gay pride. Everything's proud, proud, proud. Isn't it? Pride. It's such a big thing. You may define it or not define it, but everyone's proud of being French, proud of being English, proud of being whatever it is. Some form, positive or negative. This pride is there in every case. Mm-hmm. And, unfortunately, this causes all the friction in the world. Causes all the misunderstandings, the love and hate. It really just means seeing oneself in the center and denying God's actual position. Even though we say we believe in God, we don't really understand how the hand of God is working. We try to, put words into there, which is now, just saw it this morning, how almost every country has abolished the death penalty. Almost everyone. There's very few left that have the death. There are some pockets in America and here and there. That's going down every year, and they think this is a great advancement in society. Whatever, maybe the law is corrupt, but the principle is not corrupt. They're just doing away with the will of God, that's all. Do away with it. Interpret it according to our conditioning. This is pride. This is, let's see. Everything becomes then, has to be conceivable or manageable by our own whims, our own conditioning. And in this way we remain in the material world ad infinitum. Say what we like. Even if you go to heaven, so what? So what? What do you want to go there for? Enjoy? What do you want to go there for? Why do people want to go to heaven? Why? They may not want to go to hell, but why would they want to go to heaven?
Luxury.
Yeah, you can say it's where they think that's where we belong, but the bottom line is there you can enjoy yourself. There's not really bhakti, in one sense. It's very, very shallow, at least, huh? Very shallow bhakti. To enjoy. We're still seeing ourselves in the center. Bhakti, to the degree that we see Krishna in the center, then one can say bhakti is predominant. It's mixed right now. We also have that mix. But bhakti is the essence. It's not heaven or hell. Narayana paraksaveda kataschana bhivitya. You know that verse, famous verse in the Bhagavatam. And that is actually in relationship to King Chitraketu, actually. When Parvati cursed him. She cursed him to become a demon. You know that story. And he became Vritrasura, was it? Vritrasura? Vritrasura, who was the enemy of Indra. And when she cursed him, because of Chitraketu, when Lord Shiva was in the, was it Nandana? One forest somewhere. I can't remember the name. But Lord Shiva was there enjoying with Parvati, was on his lap. There were many sages sat around. And imagine if you're giving Bhagavatam class and you've got your girlfriend on your lap and you're embracing her and speaking Bhagavatam at the same time. You wouldn't last in ISKCON very long, that's for sure. Maybe in some Sahaja Sampradaya or something. Definitely not in ISKCON. Right? The Acharya, the line, sat there with a most beautiful girl on his lap, and he's embracing her, kissing her in between verses or something. You wouldn't last a second. So Chitraketu happened to pass by there, and he laughed. Now, why did he laugh? That's how amazing Lord Shiva is. What? He was laughing positively. It's inconceivable, Who could do this, Sat there with the most beautiful woman in the universe on his lap, and he's speaking the highest philosophy, and all these sages are sat there listening to him. It's like unbelievable. It's like unbelievable, And he was actually ecstatic in his own heart, but it looked like he was making fun of it. Parvati took it as making fun. She cursed him, because she felt he's insulted her Lord Shiva. And so she cursed him to become a demon. And he gracefully thanked her for her kind words, accepted it with happiness. She was stunned. She couldn't believe it. What is this? She couldn't understand it. And she asked Lord Shiva, and Lord Shiva replied, Narayana Paraksavena Katachchana Bhikti. To those who are actually devotees of the Lord, they have no interest in heaven or hell. They don't mind if you put me in hell or in heaven, make me this, make me that. Because they've completely, Narayana Parayana, they've totally taken shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord, and they have no fear at all and no pride at all. So this is, you may not understand, but this is, he said to her, but this is the nature of pure devotees of the Lord. Their only desire is to satisfy the Lord. And they have no fear wherever they go. We were discussing Vasudev Datta the other day. Was it Ipoh, wasn't it? Yeah, in Ipoh. No, where is it Ipoh? I don't know why it said Ipoh. Where is it? Lyon. Ipoh is a city in Malaysia. I don't know why I said Ipoh. Maybe I was talking about elephants or something, I don't know. Ipoh. Lyon, in Lyon. Vasudev Datta. Now, can you imagine that? I mean, Prabhupada writes in the Prabhupada, he's millions of times more merciful than Jesus Christ. Why? Jesus Christ said, I'll deliver those who surrender unto me, basically, isn't it? That's what they say anyway, isn't it? If you don't surrender to Jesus, you're damned for hell for eternity, isn't it? I mean, you could ask 100 million questions on that one, but that's the bottom line, basically. If you surrender or burn, repent or burn. Repent to them just means I believe in Jesus, and I still carry on doing any damn thing I like, but I believe in Jesus, that He died for my sins, and when the day of judgment comes, because I'm Jesus, I'm a follower of Jesus, whatever that means, I'll be delivered. But everyone else is going to hell. Doesn't matter what religion you're in, doesn't matter where you're born, or whatever it is, you're going to hell. And everyone who appeared, I don't know what happened. I want to ask them one day. I just asked them some questions. But what happens to people who were there before Jesus ever appeared? I don't know what happened about that one. Huh? What do they say? They stay in some limbo or something? And
no, they say there is the ancient testament. So the Jews, there were already some followers of Jesus before.
No, they say it's already there, just
in the form of Judaism.
Jews.
Or they say that the soul is waiting on.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. They're kind of
waiting. Of the last judgment, they will have another chance.
Another chance to surrender to Jesus. No, that's the one I've heard. All kinds of different, interesting. I mean, I know I'm not going to argue these things, but they're like, okay, let's not go any further. They have these little things, but it's kind of, you can go on and on and on. But let's say anyway, they have this tendencies to put that kind of like limitation, you could say, on the extent of God's unlimited creation, unlimited power beyond conception. It's okay if one follows it all. But generally people don't generally follow what they even believe in very much. We also are in the same category in many cases. And it's a different way. It's like Prabhupada said that, the reading this morning, Prabhupada was saying that, I've forgotten now, how the Vaishnavism has a different perspective. Oh, it's about creation. It was about creation of the soul. Mm-hmm. There was discussion on the verse in the Bhagavad Gita. You were the scholar, you noticed. What was it? Having once been, bring the Bhagavad Gita, let me read it. You might remind me of what I read. There it is. It's an interesting discussion. Well, that's a nice warm Bhagavad Gita you have. Very warm. You're heating up all the books over there, is it? Ready for Sankirtan or what? I hope it doesn't damage them. Let's see, where are we? It must be in the second chapter. Here it is. Oh yeah, it's the famous verse. Najayati mirti vakadachi ayam bhutbhavata vala bhuyaha. Hajoni chakshashvato yong prano lahanyate hanyamaneshri. It's quite a famous verse. And there's quite a difference between the older one and the newer one. For the soul there is neither birth nor death at any time. He has not come into being, does not come into being, and will not come into being. Now that for an impersonalist might be a very nice line. We don't exist, Buddhists would say we never came into being in the first place. You can interpret it in different ways. You don't come into being, has not come into being, and will not come into being. You can take it like that. But if you take it another way, which is the translation of the word or something, of course it refers to the fact that the soul is eternal. He never comes into being. In the old one translation it says something like, having once been, you never cease to be, or something like that. Which infers that at some point of time you come into being. Which is not what it says in the verse, you see. It infers that. Well, we don't take it like that, but an ordinary person would take it like that, most likely. That you have an origin. The soul has an origin. The old version indicates the soul has an origin, having once come into being. But you never come into being. You're eternal. Along with the Lord, along with the sun, the sunlight that exists eternally. But these are two different perspectives, and that's like the Christian's perspective. That at some point in time God created the soul. Like that, isn't it? Time. You didn't exist before this lifetime, did you know that? Who were you before this lifetime? What were you before this life? What's the answer?
Zero.
You didn't exist. This is your first existence. And everything counts on this existence, wholly and solely. Finished. You have no other choices in general, although they do say something to try to answer these inconceivable questions. Unanswerable questions. They have some kind of philosophy which they've come up with. I don't know where that's stated in the Bible. I don't know. Maybe it is. I don't know of it. But whatever it is, you're created. This is it. You just began. You didn't exist before this lifetime. Well, it's just the school of thought of Vedic thought obviously is different, completely different, and that's what it says here. Otherwise, there's a slight. We understand it. That's not what it means. Obviously, we never misinterpreted or misunderstood the original. But from an ordinary point of view, you could, if you were really philosophical, think, therefore we were created, the soul was created at a certain point in time. And once being created, like the Christian school of thought, you remain forever in hell or in heaven, whichever it may be. Isn't it? So it's just a fine thing, but it's like that, It's just, we are eternal. It's not that we come into being. Now karma is inconceivable, isn't it? How do you explain everything that happens in people's lives? How can we do that? Every little detail, everything breathed, every breath we take creates a reaction. It's a scientific law that every atomic movement creates another movement, isn't it? It's going on, but it's not possible to measure it. They try to do it, say, with the weather. They're not very. They've got all these satellites and stuff trying to watch. And I assume, from my understanding of climatology, which we studied at university, is that then they've got it all graphically on computers, so that they see the various movements, and this one will cause that cloud to move this way at a certain speed, and that one this speed, and this one that speed, and they try to measure it all like this, so then they try to predict what the weather will be in different parts of the world. It's inaccurate. We all know it's very inaccurate. There's some idea, but not accurate. So they try to measure these things, but even they know there's no way we're going to be accurate. What to speak of the analysis of the universe or the atomic movements within the universe, how everything that happens causes a reaction to that which is in contact with it, and a chain reaction goes on, isn't it? The whole universe, everything I'm saying now has a little tiny effect on the whole universe. We can't see it, it's inconceivable. Many things are inconceivable. The mind is inconceivable in many ways. You don't know what on earth's going on there, and even our body is almost inconceivable how it's going on, and pretty much everything is inconceivable if you really pin it down, isn't it? Pretty much everything, how it works, this, that, the other. So, what to speak of the churning of the milk ocean? Why not? Why not? How many kids does what is it? Frog? Spawn? Frog spawn? Something fell down? What was fell down? Subhadra fell down? Something from Subhadra? Something fell from the crown? What fell? Maybe a brooch or something. Usually she has a brooch. On her forehead.
On the forehead.
The forehead, yeah, the mark on the forehead. Should be replaced. Pretty much everything's inconceivable. Nothing is impossible when it comes to, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Here Indra's expanding, that sounds inconceivable, but it's not. What to speak of the Supreme Lord expanding himself in the form of thousands and thousands of arms and what have you. How can that be God, they say? How can that be God? How can he appear as a tortoise? How can he appear as a lion? This is definitely myth. When we're conditioned and proud of our position, it's very hard to conceive of it. Very hard. Hare Krishna. Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. So you'll be studying this. No, you won't. This is the 8th canto. That's the next stage. Huh? Bhaktivedanta. And then, what did Prabhupada say about Bhaktivedanta?
He says those who have Bhaktivedanta, they are able to become gurus.
To initiate. To give initiation.
But I don't think it's in law. Prabhupada said it, but it's not applicated in ISKCON.
It's not a law. You're supposed to have a Bhakti Shastri degree. Actually, no. That's for sannyas. You're supposed to have a Bhakti Shastri. There's nothing for guru.
No, to take sannyas, you need Bhakti Vaibhav.
No, it used to be Bhakti Shastri.
No, it's Bhakti Vaibhav.
They put it up to Bhakti Vaibhav. They've increased it. I better give up my sannyas. I was teaching Bhakti Shastri on and off for years, in Vrindavan. Not permanently, but every year one nectar devotion, Upanishad, nectar instruction, things like that. Over several years, but I never took the degree. I never took the Bhakti Shastri degree. And then, when I applied for sannyas, they said you have to have a Bhakti Shastri degree, so I had to take it on the spot. I literally took it on the spot between 100 other things going on at the same time, I had to go in and out, I'd be on the phone and go back here, because I was managing the temple in Auckland at the same time. I had to take it there and then before the application could be approved. So I passed somewhere. I didn't have any time to prepare. It's not difficult to pass the Bhakti Shastri. Not if you study.
They give it.
They give it anyway, do
you
they?
You just need to be there, that's all.
Is it? No, I've seen devotees who failed it.
That's really difficult.
Is it? Difficult?
At least in India, it's
well, if you go for the course, you have a difficult time failing. But if you don't go for the course, But some people fail. I know in Bhakti Shastri in Vrindavan over there, others failed.
I was correcting their copy, their essays.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it's not even English.
No, I was marking essays too. Marking all the answers and everything.
So, because they
made the effort.
Yeah, exactly. You have to understand the point of view of the teachers. they need to preserve their
Oh, I see.
university. And
Another angle to it as well.
So they
Everybody failed the course. I'm sorry, Maharaj, you failed the course. You have to give back your sannyas. We were Brahmin and Gayatri thread or whatever it is. I mean, Prabhupada's, he said we should have these tests. I think he called it back to Shastri in 1977. It was like, if you failed that, I mean, goodness me, you'd have to be, really, really, really kind of, I don't say, really dull. And pass mark, what was it? 30%. And the questions were like, what are the three modes of nature? What's the difference between God and the soul? It was questions like that, It wasn't like, it was so easy. I mean, there were a few complicated ones, but 90% of them were like any new bhakta could partly answer them. It was 30% pass mark. Something I mean, it's almost impossible to fail. You only had to get about 4 questions right and you passed. Prabhupada was like, he just wanted us to read the books, and study the books and try to understand what we're supposed to do with it all, even if you can't memorize it.
That's strange because Jayapataka Swami says that in his time when Prabhupada submitted him a few questions, it was really difficult and he had to write a lot and so on.
We never had anything. Nothing. Prabhupada said he said it isn't even compulsory, it's even not necessary. Only started in 77. And it was only those who were in Mayapur, those who wanted to do it, did it. But it didn't make any difference to everyone else. It wasn't like an established necessity. Some have made it like that. And in fact, if you read the recent paper, it's a good paper, you should read it. On Gayatri, it's in the Dandava, so it was about a month ago. Did you read it on the Gayatri mantra? Long article by SAC, the Shastric department. Urmila and many devotees are part of that committee. And they come up with I'm no scholar, but from an ordinary person like me's perspective, they've come up with a very well, let's say, researched paper on the Gayatri in ISKCON, the Gayatri mantra in ISKCON. It's taken very lightly and even dismissed sometimes. But it's a very nice article. I'm not going to get into it, but it was a very nice article, I thought. And there were many points there, of reference, which I thought were very valuable to bring unity with the members. One of them was, we shouldn't just keep coming up with new things aside from what Prabhupada established as a standard. Try to increase it, add to it, detract from it, or whatever it is. Stick to it. Stick what Prabhupada gave. Don't keep introducing new things. You have to have this, and this for first initiation. Where'd that come from? Where's it coming from? It didn't come from Prabhupada. Unless you think yourself an acharya or something. Stick to what Prabhupada gave. That will bring unity to the whole movement. Everyone has the same perspective, rather than everyone having a different standard. I mean, you can go from this temple to the next temple. The standard is as far apart as, chalk and cheese, as they say. You have to wait years on end. You have to pass 15 different tests and exams and go through the course. You have to have a mentor. You have to be proven by the mentor. It was never there in Prabhupada's time, all these things. It was very simple.
It was in reaction.
Pardon?
It was in reaction of...
We can understand the cautionary aspect of it, but to institutionalize it is another question. I don't know if you can do that. It's up to the individual, of course. That's natural. To institutionalize it is a little bit... I just thought it was quite a nice article which made things a bit more simple. Others may disagree. I'm not worried. Worry me. We just go along with whatever mercy Krishna gives us and try our best to become Krishna conscious or so. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. The Prabhupada will have a great trip to India. I hope I'll see you in India. If you have any problems when you're there, let me know, please. Okay?
When you plan to come?
We'll probably come in February or March. I'm not sure. If you need a little bit. I hope so. I'd like to go for the festival, but I'm not guaranteeing that. I went last year. I don't normally go. I haven't been going for many years for various reasons, personal reasons, COVID reasons, time reasons, many reasons combined. But we'll see what happens this year. I'm not ready to say on that yet. We'll see. But if you need a little help with staying on a little longer in India, just let me know. Okay? It would be good for you. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Shri Prabhupada ki jai.